Only joking, it's not going to be one of those videos. So, as you might have noticed, I left Android Authority. Actually, it was over a month ago now, and today I want to give a little bit of my reasoning why I left Android Authority, why I think it was needed on my end, and ultimately what I'm going to do next. This isn't going to be me kind of taking a dump on AA because honestly, they don't deserve it. It was a really decent time I had there, and we left with no hard feelings either side. I actually have notes on my screen here which I'm going to use so that this isn't a massively rambly video, but it probably is going to be quite a long one. So, you know, make a cup of tea, grab some food, all the cliche stuff, and sit and relax, I guess. So firstly, I want to give a massive thank you to a bunch of people at AA. Of course, everyone at AA was absolutely super fantastic when I was there, but in particular, I want to thank Chris Carlin, Ollie Cragg, Rob Triggs, Chris Thomas, Hadley Simons, David Imel, I never quite got your name right there, and Darcy and Derek, the owners. So you guys were fantastic in helping me become basically a journalist from nothing. Sure, I had done YouTube videos before, but when it came to writing, when it came to journalistic practices, I was basically a nobody. I had no idea what I was doing. And these guys, you know, they taught me, they trained me, they spent a lot of time, and you know, I could never really appreciate more what you helped do in kickstarting my career. You know, of course, I spent a lot of time on my YouTube stuff, and making videos is something that I feel I've done mostly myself. But when it comes to proper journalistic practices and learning these things, you guys have just been ace. So thank you. And also in growing up as a person. When I started AA, I was 19. I think it was my 19th birthday I joined AA, or my 20th birthday I joined AA. And I'm going to be 22 very soon, so, you know, I spent almost 2 years there, and I felt like I grew up a lot as a person, and I want to thank these guys for really helping me with that, because I became much more of a mature person as I went through my time at AA. For some context for this video, I started in May of 2019 and officially finished in March of 2021. I was employed as a videographer, but also as a writer and as a tester. So just to give you a quick rundown of what I did day to day, I was employed part-time for 20 hours a week, and I was basically doing a lot of the reviews that were UK and Europe and stuff, video side. David would do most of the US based video stuff, and then we'd have Lan sometimes as well, although he left quite early on. And then in terms of product testing, I would run stuff through sort of the display calibration stuff, the sound stuff. We have our own boutique, or we had our own boutique system for dealing with performance and battery life, which you kind of all had to manually go through. It wasn't huge amounts of work, but it was something that I was actually quite enjoyed, to be honest. And those would go for the reviews that I was doing on certain phones, but it would also go towards maybe reviews that other people were doing that I could just help, you know, squeeze a little bit extra info out of. And obviously I'm not going to go through how all the testing stuff worked, because that's an AA thing, but that was a big part of my job, especially in the first year. I was also doing video, so that was sort of coming up with ideas, writing scripts, filming A-roll, which is this kind of piece to camera, filming the B-roll, getting the test media, that kind of thing, and that would go for features, reviews, that kind of thing. And then I would also write features every now and then, but also write reviews, because you would typically have written to go along with the video, and it's really best if it comes from the same person, because you're delivering basically the same message and everything's cohesive and it works quite well. You can also kind of hint at the video and hint at the article in different places. It works quite well, and that was what I was doing. However, the only real thing that I had mass sort of experience in was in the video side when I had started. Redux was also something that I eventually went on to do, and that's essentially because, you know, Redux was basically what I do on this channel, but I wanted to introduce something to AA with this in mind. Now, it went pretty well, I would say. I actually got quite a few videos that did pretty well. The Redux videos did on the whole rather well views wise. There were a couple that were a little bit tricky, like the last one I did, and the Note 8 didn't do particularly well, but the Samsungs did pretty well, and the OnePlus phones did pretty well as well. Gotta stop saying well. But this all came about basically because Damien Wilde, good friend of mine, really good friend of mine, suggested that I just try it out, like try being a journalist properly. And I applied for the job, and within sort of a month or so I had got the job. It was fantastic. It was a really cool process, and it didn't take very long, and like within a month I knew like all of the big bosses, the people above, and it was really cool. So Darcy and Derek, fantastic in that whole process, and Chris and Bogdan as well, who was sort of teaching me a lot of the stuff early on. So you kind of get a gist of what I was doing. I was part-time, I was doing video, that kind of thing. And essentially what happened is I became pretty, I would say, burnt out. And creative burnout is essentially where you kind of lose all motivation. You know, you're doing it because essentially you need to be paid, or you need to have something to do, but you're not as driven. And early on you could tell I was really driven with my work. I was doing those 100 or 90 hertz and quad HD tests, which were like a little bit experimenty, and I really enjoyed doing those, setting those up, filming them, the interviews, everything like that. Felt really good to get on with those. And then the compact cameras versus the point and shoot cameras, that kind of thing, that didn't do quite as well on YouTube, but it did better on the website, and I really enjoyed doing that. And then of course the USB-C thing that I pointed out, which was probably the highlight of my AA career, where essentially I was testing pixels for something else. I can't even remember what it was at this point, and I came across a bug that USB-C ports in Pixel phones tend to be really slow compared to their competitors, and that was something that I worked on, and I think I did quite a good job with. But towards the second year, I started to get a lot of burnout. Now, this was around the time the YouTube channel wasn't doing particularly well, and so we had to kind of stop testing stuff that we wanted to try and kind of went with stuff that we could do and would be the most efficient. And so I started essentially helping with the features, but on the video side. And that's why you saw a lot of explainers and that kind of thing towards the second year, or late last year, early this year. And to be honest, they weren't too bad to make. It was really nice being able to spend more time on the video side rather than the writing side. It was really good to have that, because obviously video was my focus. But because I wasn't creating stuff from the ground up, unless it was like a review or something in particular like a Redux, it was really tricky for me to get the motivation to create or to be creative. Now, this is something that I probably should have brought up a little bit more, but I didn't, because I didn't want to complain. You know, you don't want to complain, you don't want to cause a fuss for anyone, and in general my entire, and I hate to get a bit sort of real world, but my entire life started to just become really boring. My sleep was absolutely atrocious. My focus was what could only be described as just manic. I mean, all over the place. And I had gone from being a really focused, driven person to someone who's just like completely lost. And this was something that I tried to battle. You know, I tried to get my sleep in check, tried to change how I ate, and just generally create more structure, because I tend to work better with structure. And it wasn't really working. So I brought this up with my boss, Chris, and you know, he corroborated. He was like, look, you can tell you're not as focused, and you know, if you're really trying and not getting very far, then it makes sense, no hard feelings. And that was really nice, because I was just expecting at this point, you know, we had just brought on Luke, who is the new guy at AA and is doing most of the video stuff, and I really didn't want to leave him in a bad position. But you know, we got him all trained up and sorted. I helped a little bit with that, and I just felt much better about leaving them in a better position than if I was to just leave sort of out of the blue with nothing there. So that was really nice that Chris was nice with me about that whole thing, and you know, it felt like he supported my decision, which was good. And so I've spent like the past month just chilling, resetting, playing loads of Counter-Strike, if I'm honest. That's basically what I've been doing. I've just been trying to disconnect and try and take that time to just let my mind do what it wants, so that I can get back on and focus. And you probably noticed I've ramped up production on the YouTube channel. I missed one the other week, but I actually have been trying to do 2 videos a week. And honestly, I'm already feeling loads better for it. Maybe it was a combination of my burnout at Android Authority, or maybe it's just the fact I haven't done something for myself like this in a long time. But essentially, it gave me that sort of, I don't know, that confidence and that boost, and I've really appreciated it. So my sleep is no better, my eating if anything is worse, but I feel better, like I feel mentally more there. And when I'm creating YouTube videos for this channel, they might not, might not net as much money per video as I would Android Authority, which when you're an adult, you kind of need money to be able to live. We'll get past that. But like that creativity there, that drive is returned, and it's really nice. So yeah, an exciting new chapter for me. I hope I've made the right decision. Right now it feels good, but long term, let's see how it goes. I'm not really looking for anything super like in depth right now. I'll probably hopefully get a job in the next month or so, but this time off, honestly, I think I've needed it for an awfully long time. Maybe you've noticed it in the YouTube videos or whatever, I don't know, let me know in the comments. Do I seem any different over the past month, or is it just placebo and maybe it's just me being kind of crazy? Although I hope not. Do I have any regrets at Android Authority? Well, there is the one thing of numbers. So right at the start of my time at Android Authority, you can see in this graph of my YouTube channel just kind of exploding. Then I took a job and yeah, I mean the whole thing plummeted, and this channel's been pretty slow for the past 2 years, and it's still very slow right now. So, is there a regret that I took the job at Android Authority? In that way, yes. In another way, I got 2 years experience at a really top Android or journalism publication, which was fantastic. It's given me a lot of life skills. I think it's matured me as a person. It's helped me, learn how to work in a group of people. And for that, I don't think you can really replace that with money from YouTube, right? So I'm glad I made that decision, although I kind of wish I would have kept up with my YouTube alongside it, if that makes any sense. I probably could have worked harder to balance work and life. At one point, I was just kind of letting the two twine and spill into each other, which wasn't ideal, and I knew I probably should have created that divide and created boundaries for myself, but I didn't, which is probably a regret of mine. And I wish I was smarter with my money. Like when I'd never really had any money, and when I first got my first real job at Android Authority, I was like, I'm going to buy loads of really cool stuff. So I did that, and I didn't really save an awful lot of money at all, and yeah, I think that kind of got to me a bit. I know now that I'm not going to be able to spend so much money, and I don't think I'm going to, once I do have an influx, that happen again. But yeah, that's a regret of mine. I wish I'd have saved a bit more, because it probably would have let me take a bit longer off without any issues. And my final regret, and this is something that goes on from the previous one, I wish I'd have saved money and actually rented a space to use as a studio. I would have got way more done. I think I would have been way less stressed, and of course that work-life balance thing would have been less of an issue, because I mean, this isn't a tiny room by any means, but it's my bedroom, and like when you're working so much in a space in your bedroom and you've been doing it for so long, it just gets so tiring, like unbelievably tiring. And so that's a big regret of mine. On the whole though, I really enjoyed my time at Android Authority. I met some great people, made some great memories, wrote some of my best stuff, made some of my best videos, and overall I guess just got that experience, that life experience that I needed at that young age. Of course I did odd jobs here and there, and I did YouTube, which was making me a bit of money, but AA was my first proper job, and it was sorry, I minced my words there. It was probably one of the best ones I'm going to have for a while, because it's a big one. Android Authority is one of the leading publications, so it's like pretty huge. It was huge for me at the time, and it's pretty huge for me now. So yeah, I'm going to leave this video here, I think. If you want an idea into how like the whole, not the process, because I'm not going to share any kind of AA specific stuff, but if you want to know more about what it's like being a journalist, let me know, and maybe I'll make a YouTube video on it. Obviously day in the life of a YouTuber is kind of done over and over at this point, but if you want to know specifically how you learn to be a journalist, what it's like being a young journalist, and maybe some things to do with like the lifestyle behind it, let me know. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video on it. Otherwise, yeah, I want to thank you all so much for your support over the past 6 years. I mean, I've been doing this for an awfully long time now, and the time at Android Authority was awesome as well, and I did meet a couple of you through that. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you're still hanging about. Either way, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas, and check out all the links in the video description, like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of thing, and I'll catch you later. Peace.